Hello and welcome to Ecocentric. I'm your host Jake Selesky. We've got a lot of environmental news to cover this week, so let's get started. Also, you might notice a different location, different lighting. I'm holding a microphone. I'm reading from my computer. It's a long story. Don't ask. If it would take too long to explain. Maybe an after credit scene one day. But anyway, let's get into the news. First up, Dutch environmental and human rights groups are suing Shell for its failure to address climate change. 7 independent organizations have accused Shell of violating the Paris Climate Agreement by retaining a business model that does not comply with modern standards on emissions and environmental destruction. Rather than demanding payment from the company, the coalition of activists is only requesting a change in Shell's business model that will allow it to operate without hindering the goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The case against the notorious fossil fuel giant focuses on the claim that the company is participating in, quote, unlawful endangerment of the environment. The plaintiffs also argue that Shell is deliberately implementing policies to maintain its profits at the immediate expense of Earth's climate. Shell has a history of behaving stubbornly when faced with calls to adhere to environmental regulations, but sustained pressure from activists could force it to make some concessions to continue to do business in Europe. Our next story is about airports. A new report by PIK has a startling conclusion. CO2 levels might be the highest they've been in the past 3 million years. The concentration of CO2 should be at 280 parts per million, but now it's at 410 parts per million. The level to which humans have changed the planet is not only shocking for humanity, but also for the history of the Earth. Warming is expected to increase from here, and isn't looking good. The report was by researchers at the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research. Next up, we have some slightly surprising news that might be a misdirection. Fossil fuel companies are attempting to mitigate the damage they have done to the environment by investing in carbon engineering, a promising new entity aiming to reabsorb atmospheric carbon. The Canadian company claims to have solved the enigma of removing atmospheric carbon to actually reverse climate change rather than simply limiting it. Carbon removed with carbon engineering machines will be able to use it as a clean fuel. This is not the first venture made by these fossil fuel giants to appear more environmentally conscious as public and government perception continues to shift out of their favor. Their contributions are undoubtedly helping growth in the fledgling sector of climate technology, but these companies can only do so much while larger competitors like Shell continue to resist any proactive changes to their business models. Here's some news for investors who care about money. Climate change will prove especially devastating in the United States real estate sector as more property loses value. Risk to investments in real estate have greatly increased as property across the United States no longer has any guarantee or protection against climate-related disasters. Real estate firms and the housing market as a whole now depend largely upon climate statistics and risk factors that were scarcely taken into account in buying and investing more than a decade ago. Totals of natural disasters on property in 2017 easily topped $300 billion, and prices in many of the most heavily impacted areas are still sit far below the threshold of recovery. Instability of property values and excess caution in real estate investing will only grow as long as climate change continues to yield more and more unpredictable natural disasters each year in the United States. Now we have some good news for animal rights. California moved closer to banning animal circuses worldwide today with a unanimous vote by the California Senate Natural Resources and Water Committee banning them. 32 states have partial or full bans on animal circuses, so California will join a large collection of states united against animal abuse. This is important because animal rights are environmental rights. The rights of endangered species, animals in zoos, those in circuses, and more all must be protected. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez blames climate change and a lack of action to curtail it for the burgeoning migrant crisis across the globe. Climate change has been displacing large quantities of people in countries ill-equipped to handle dramatic changes in sea levels, temperature, and weather patterns. Representative Ocasio-Cortez sees this as one of the main causes of the global migrant crisis. She pointed out in a tweet the hypocrisy of the far right's refusal to either help migrants or tackle a serious factor displacing them to begin with. Ocasio-Cortez reiterated at House Oversight Committee, hearing her belief that the United States must invest in intelligent climate solutions if politicians wish to avoid having a, quote, blood on their hands, a reference to the myriad lives put in jeopardy by climate change. Now some Tesla news. Tesla is moving to acquire Maxwell Technologies, an energy storage company. The technology that Maxwell creates could be used to create far more efficient and far cheaper electric car batteries. Tesla has aggressively been innovating the battery storage industry with multiple gigafactories, which are huge battery factories, in production. And with the acquisition of Maxwell Technologies, they will continue to be a leader in their field. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. You can also follow us on Instagram at Ecocentric. We post daily about environmental news and education. Well, that's all for me, and that's your turn to save the world. See you next week.